big thanks to Kamado Joe for sponsoring this episode.
Today I'm going to be making my favorite steak and lobster recipe. One of my favorite things to cook is steak, and I think that's a well-known factor. But making steak and lobster is absolutely delicious and trumps every general steak dish. So today we're going to be doing that. And this is a once-in-a-while recipe that's gonna blow your mind. First step is to make a herb butter, for which I'm gonna chop fine some parsley. Next to chop fine is some chives, grate the zest of a lemon, chop fine a garlic clove, and your garlic clove has to be really fine because you don't wanna taste it after. I'm basically gonna go as far as to puree it with my knife. And the last step is to grate some Parmesan cheese. This is gonna give it a magical umami flavor. Now I'm gonna load all of this into a bowl, add the butter, add salt and add pepper, and I'm gonna mix it up. And if you're looking for all these specific amounts, you can find them on our website. You can even switch between imperial measurements and metric measurements. Now look at this beautiful butter. Time to move on to the next step. Now it's time to make some delicious crab cakes. Starting with 400 grams of snow crab meat, followed by 1 egg, 50 grams of breadcrumbs, a tablespoon of mayonnaise, a teaspoon of Worcester sauce, a teaspoon of mustard, and 3 tablespoons of PitmasterX classic barbecue rub. And of course, you can find that recipe on PitmasterX.com. Now mix that up until you have a sticky consistency like this. Then roll out a sheet of baking paper and use your hands to create beautiful small crab cakes. Now of course I'm going to be cooking these delicious crab cakes on the Kamado Joe Big Joe. I'm gonna load it up with some charcoal, put in some fire starters, light them up, and wait till the charcoal is fully lit. Now that the charcoal is nice and hot, I'm gonna put in my grill grates and set them at the lowest position. On top of the grill grate, I'm gonna place my cast iron skillet made by Scottsburg. This is gonna give my crab cakes the absolute perfect crunch on the outside. I'm gonna throw in a lump of butter, let that melt, and now it's finally time to get these in my pan and get a beautiful crust on. Carefully load them in the butter, and as you can see, they already have that strong consistency. The eggs and the breadcrumbs hold it together nicely, turning this into absolutely gorgeous crab cakes. Look at that beautiful crust on these crab cakes. Absolutely gorgeous and delicious. A little bit of that bubble still from that butter. These are the perfect crepes. And of course, I'm not stopping at crab cakes. I'm gonna make some beautiful ribeye steaks to go with it. Look at these beauties. Oh, Aberdeen black ribeye steak. There we go. Of course, I'm gonna need 2 of these bad boys, and the first thing that I wanna do is get a good sear on them. So I'm gonna grill them over direct heat. And once I build up that beautiful crust and place these over indirect heat, put in a thermometer and keep my eye on the temperature. And on the low position, I'm gonna put my skillet back in, and put a little bit of that herb butter that we just made in the pan, let that melt. And to finish it off, some fresh lobster meat. And once they start curling up, it's time to flip them around. And look at that beautiful meat turning nice and soft. And don't forget, the lobster doesn't need much. So all you need is a little bit of char on the outside, and these things are done. And the final part is when the steaks are done, you get that notification, 52 degrees Celsius core temperature, and then it's time to slice into them. What a beautiful, juicy looking steak. This is an absolute treat. This steak is so tender, so juicy, this can only mean one tasty steak. Now I'm gonna plate this up. I got a beautiful black plate right here. I'm just gonna take my knife, put the whole steak on. Now, of course, I want this to look as beautiful as I can make it look, so I want to see a little bit of that pink. Then I'm gonna put on 2 of these crab cakes. Some of that lobster, the tail, of course, and the claw meat, and then a pinch of that garlic butter. And just let that melt and go all over the steaks and the crab cake. Oh, man. This looks, yes, I know, it looks freaking awesome. The rooster thinks so too. I'm gonna take a little bit of everything in one bite. No step-by-step process here. This is the real surf and turf. Here we go. That is some seriously good food. I must admit, I spent a little bit of money to make this plate. It's actually a ridiculous amount of money because lobster in the Netherlands is quite expensive, and so is fresh crab meat, snow crab at least. But whoa, for a special occasion, it's worth it. It's totally worth it.
The crab cakes in the surf and turf, they add a whole different dimension. I've never had a surf and turf with crab cakes on top.
This is something special. This is not something you eat every day. This is that once every now and then special occasion meal. Oh, fantastic. Oh, this is like one of those situations where you better start eating or you're gonna be left without the food. Dig in, dude. And Morse and I are just gonna finish our plates. Freaking delicious recipe while it's still hot. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Give us a big thumbs up and a comment down below. Don't forget to check out our website, PitmasterX.com. Big thanks to the YouTube members. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then,
Eetsmakelijk.
and keep on grilling. That's right.
And tell us about your surf and turf experience. I want to know.
Doesn't get any better than this.
No, I must say.
What do you like better, the crab cakes or the lobster?
Yeah, I don't want to say it out loud, but I like the crab cakes more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Me too.